1975, Gary Gall was working as an advertising agent. And at that time, he launched the sale of an idea that quickly transformed him into a multi-millionaire. In August of that year, he took his product to the San Francisco gift show, and then he also took it to the gift show in New York. Immediately, Neiman Marcus purchased 500 of his product. And at that time, Newsweek did a half-page story on him that stretched across the whole United States. They talked about this nutty notion that he had and how he became a multi-millionaire. He appeared twice on The Tonight Show. By Christmas, when 2.5 tons of his product had been sold, and 3/4 of all the newspapers in the United States carried that story of how successful he was and how it only took him 6 months before he became a multi-millionaire. And how quickly he did this, especially the fact that his product was hardly cost anything at all. So what was Gary Gall's product? We know it as Pet Rocks. Pet Rocks. 1975 is when Pet Rocks came out. So if you know what a Pet Rock is, then you're kind of telling your age, I suppose. Just normal, everyday rocks. And I'm not sure that this is what Jesus had in mind when he said in our scripture this morning. I tell you that if these were silent, the very stones would shout out. But maybe Gary Gall had his idea by reading this scripture. I don't know. This morning, we're going to look at the Palm and the Passion part of Jesus' story. For the last couple of years, we've been focusing on the Palm Sunday, and those who don't come to the Good Friday service, they miss out on the Passion part. And so I've got the scripture on the screen for you that I will be reading. The scripture won't be on the screen, so if you want to follow along in the Bible that you brought with you to church this morning or in one of the few Bibles, you can do that. But the main thing I want you to do is to listen for the voices that you hear in our scripture this morning. I will begin in Luke 19 with verse 37. Hear the word of the Lord. As Jesus approached the road leading down from the Mount of Olives, the whole throng of his disciples began to rejoice. They praised God with a loud voice because all the mighty things they had seen. They said, "Blessings on the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven." Some of the Pharisees from the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, scold your disciples. Tell them to stop." He answered, "I tell you, if they were silent, the stones would shout." Now in chapter 22, beginning with verse 47. While Jesus was still speaking, a crowd appeared, and the one called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him. Jesus said to him, "Judas, would you betray the human one with a kiss?" When those around him recognized what was about to happen, they said, "Lord, should we fight with our swords?" One of them struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. Jesus responded, "Stop, no more of this." He touched the slave's ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, the officers of the temple guard, and the elders who came to get him, "Have you come with swords and clubs to arrest me as though I were a thief? Day after day I was with you in the temple, but you didn't arrest me. But this is your time when darkness rules." And in chapter 23, beginning with verse 13. Then Pilate called together the chief priests and the rulers of the people. They said to them, "You brought this man before me as one who was misleading the people. I have questioned him in your presence and found nothing in in this man's conduct that provides a legal basis to the charges you have brought against him. Neither did Herod, because Herod returned him to us. He's done nothing that deserves death. Therefore, I'll have him whipped, then let him go." But with one voice they shouted, "Away with this man! Release Barabbas to us." Barabbas had been thrown into prison because of a riot that had occurred in the city and for murder. Pilate addressed them again because he wanted to release Jesus. They kept shouting out, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" For the third time, Pilate said to them, "Why? What wrong has he done? I found no legal basis for the death penalty in this case. Therefore, I will have him whipped, then let him go." And they were at him, shouting their demand that Jesus be crucified. Their voices won out. Pilate issued his decision to grant their request. He released the one they asked for, who had been thrown into prison because of a riot and murder, but he handed Jesus over to their will. Verse 32. They also let 2 other criminals be executed with Jesus. When they arrived at the place called the Skull, they crucified him along with the criminals, one on his right and the other on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing." They drew lots as a way of dividing up his clothing. The people were standing around watching, but the leaders sneered at him, saying, "He saved others, let him save himself, if he really is the Christ, sent from God, the chosen one." The soldiers also mocked him. They came up to him, offering him sour wine, and saying, "If you really are the King of the Jews, save yourself." Above his head was a notice of the formal charge against him. It read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals standing next to Jesus insulted him. "Aren't you the Christ? Save yourself and us." Responding, the other criminal spoke harshly to him. "Don't you fear God, seeing that you also been sentenced to die? We are rightly condemned, for we are receiving the appropriate sentence for what we did, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus replied, "I assure you that today you will be with me in paradise." It was now about noon, and darkness covered the whole earth until about 3 o'clock, while the sun stopped shining. Then the curtain of the sanctuary tore down the middle. Crying out in a loud voice, Jesus said, "Father, into your hands I entrust my life." After he said this, he breathed for the last time. When the centurion saw what had happened, he praised God, saying, "It's really true. This man was righteous." All the crowds who had come together to see this event returned to their homes, beating their chests after seeing what had happened. And everyone who knew him, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance, observing these things. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Luke's version of the triumphal entry into Jerusalem is a little bit different than the other Gospels. Luke wants his readers to know that Jesus' actions coincide with the history of Israel, especially the prophetic literature. At this point in Luke's story, Jesus concludes his journey to Jerusalem, and now he prepares to enter into the holy city. Many times in Luke, if you know Luke's writing, Jesus' words to his disciples are fulfilled in the events that follow, and that's the case that we have before us. Luke identifies that Jesus is the king, but not as a political superpower. Luke's writing about 50 years after Jesus' death, and he doesn't want the readers to be misled or want them to misinterpret what is taking place in our text this morning. If you notice in Luke's account, he never mentions hosannas or palm branches or branches cut from trees. He's not saying that those things didn't happen as the other Gospels report, but Luke doesn't want his readers to get the wrong idea. And it is possible that by the time of Luke's writing, that those were expressions that belonged to political and military parades and festivals with nationalistic overtones. And that's not what Jesus was about. Luke leaves those things out. Therefore, our scripture says the whole throng of Jesus' disciples, they sing words from Psalm 118 and 26. Blessings on the King who comes in the name of the Lord. And they sing those not with political power in mind, but Luke says with love and peace and acceptance. And the crowd shouted, "Peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven," just as the angels did in Luke 2:14. God's Messiah had come into the world and reached his destination in Jerusalem. The kingdom of God, if you will, the kingdom of God has come and is clashing with the kingdom of the world. The crowd went crazy. Their last hope came walking into Jerusalem on a borrowed donkey, and they couldn't contain their excitement, even though they really didn't understand what kind of king, what kind of leader Jesus would be. When the scribes and the Pharisees heard the commotion, they feared what the Romans might do. Especially when they were all shouting about a new king coming to town. And how that might threaten the throne. Well, the Pharisees asked Jesus to make them stop. But it was no use. In 1940, Jesus says, "I tell you, if they were silent, the stone would shout." Folks, someone has to give voice to the message of Jesus Christ. That's what it boils down to. Someone has to give voice to the message of Jesus Christ. While they were praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, the story tells us that Judas comes. He brings with him all the religious leaders and the guards. He has come to betray Jesus. So we have the voice of betrayal in our text. The religious leaders come and they, with the voices of darkness. And Jesus is arrested and he's carried away to face his accuser. Then we have Pilate and Herod passing him back and forth. Neither of them want to be the responsible voice who stirs up the crowd. And the voices of praise and the voices of blessing give way to the voices of darkness, the voices of cursing, the voices of crucifixion. And then beginning in chapter 23, verse 32, Jesus is hung on the cross between two thieves. They've been taken to the place called the skull. In the Hebrew, that was called Golgotha. In the Greek, it's Calvary. This is a hill just outside of Jerusalem, where common criminals were placed. Hang on the cross. Sometimes it would take up to a week for them to die, depending on the elements and the lack of water. Crucifixion was a very effective crime deterrent in the early first century under Roman rule. On this particular day, the scripture tells us that Jesus was crucified between the two thieves, one on his right and one on his left. Now, since they normally crucified people totally nude, we have, in order to humiliate them and shame them, we have the Roman soldiers in our text dividing Jesus' clothing and rolling knives before him. As the people stood around watching, because they didn't want to get involved. They didn't want to end up like Jesus. So they remained silent. The religious leaders knew Jesus had the power to save. They've seen him do it. So they used their voices to ridicule him. saying, He saved others, let him save himself. If He is the Christ of God, if He is the Messiah of God, the chosen one. As bullying and crowd violence usually goes, other people joined in and followed their example. The soldiers mocking, coming up and offering sour wine, and saying, if you are the King of the Jews, save yourself. Any normal person would curse back. Jesus was not one who would give voice to such nonsense. In fact, with the Father's love, and as an example to His own followers and to Christians to the end of the age, Jesus responded, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. One of the thieves hanging next to Jesus insulted Him, saying, are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us. This thief was only thinking of himself. He really didn't care about Jesus, but he wanted to save himself. So the other thief next to him rebuked him, saying, do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed have been condemned justly, for we're getting what we deserve for our deeds. But this man, he's done nothing wrong. This thief acknowledged Jesus' Messiahship. He confessed his own sin, and he proclaimed Jesus innocent. And then he said, Jesus, remember me when you get into your kingdom. And Jesus said, truly I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise. Did you pick up on all the voices in our text this morning? Our scripture selection? We have voices of blessing and cursing, voices of acceptance and rejection, of innocence and condemnation, of rebuke and rejoicing, praising and scoffing, and scolding, and peace and anger and salvation, voices of mocking and forgiveness, voices of surrender and silence, voices of proclamation and insult, and the list goes on. But my question to you is, what voice do you hear? What voices do you hear? What jumped out of the text for you? And what voice do you give? What voice do you throw in the midst of all the other voices in our text this morning? What voice do you give to the message of the cross? In 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 18, Paul says, the message about the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing. But to us, who are being saved, it is the power of God. Folks, the church is in the midst of giving voice to the resurrected Christ. We are to proclaim Christ until He returns in final victory. But you know, sometimes silence is the loudest voice. Jesus said, if we are silent, the very stone would shout out. I'm here to tell you that the world doesn't need any more payoff. What the world needs is people who will give voice to the saving work of Jesus Christ in the here and now. Amen. Will you be that voice? Will you be that voice? Let us pray. Father, we thank you for your word. We thank you for the message of the cross. And we realize how much people in our world need to hear the message of the cross, the saving work of the cross, as they go through life in the here and now. Because there is power in the cross. Because after the cross is the resurrection. And we all need